Welcome to Fashionista Activista, the podcast where style meets activism. I'm your host, Diana Diaz, and in each episode, we'll dive deep into the inspiring journeys of women business owners in Los Angeles, with a special spotlight on women of color. Join us as we celebrate the power, diversity, and creativity of underrepresented Latin women, youth, and queer communities through their captivating conversations and high-quality content. Welcome again to Fashionista Activista Podcast, brought to you by Kaiser Permanente, the Goddess Mercado, New Economics for Women, and SoCal Gas. Thank you so much for supporting our community and allowing us to share the stories of impactful and amazing, fashionable people that come to inspire you. Today, we have someone that I love dearly. Oh, I love you so much. Thank you for agreeing to be here. Carlos Montes, who is an activist and organizer with strong roots in East LA, Boyle Heights, but I'm not going to tell his story. I'm going to let Carlitos tell his story. And thank you so much for being here, Carlos. Let's start with you telling us a little bit about your different roles and the things that you do here in the community.
Different roles. I like that question. Multitasking. Well, primarily I'm based in my community in Boyle Heights, East LA. I know my neighbors, I know my community, and we always get together and organize. And, I hear a lot of complaints from my community. I said, let's get together and do something about it, right?
Where did that start? I know, well, the clue is you started activism and organizing long time ago when you were in high school. Start with that.
Actually, right out of high school. Growing up in East LA, getting harassed by the sheriffs, having bad teachers back then, racist teachers, getting pushed out of high school, being channeled into the military, industrial arts, not the college, right? I knew something was wrong, and, I read a book, North from Mexico by Carrie McWilliams, and it just kind of blew my mind. As we used to say in the 60s, it blew my mind, right, opened me up to all the history of racism and oppression that our people have faced in the United States. I had already started, going to some meetings. I went to East LA College. I got involved in student government. Don't tell anybody about that, right? But I saw a flyer on the door, a white flyer said, meeting of masa. And I go, masa, ¿y esto qué es masa?
You're like, quiero tamales.
Yeah. So I go in there and I see these older Chicanos that are going to college on a GI Bill. And they're talking about get tutoring and scholarship and this. And I go, no, Tom, we got to be like the blacks. We got to organize like the black. And then they turn around and go, oh, yeah, why don't you go do it? So I go, boom, okay, you're right. I'm going to do it, right? So I started, I guess I became radicalized by the Black Liberation Movement, because I remember the Watts Rebellion. I was working with blacks during the summer. I was in high school. I got a summer job with blacks, and one will argue about, we got to rebel, and the other guy was saying, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. We're looking bad. I just ate it up.
Because you did.
Yeah, when I came from Ciudad Juarez as a little kid, I was living in South LA.
So you were born and raised in Juarez.
Paso, Texas, raised in Juarez, right? We came to LA. My father was a factory worker, working class proletariat.
Yeah.
And we lived in South LA in what they call the Florence Compton area. So I lived with blacks, blacks, Chicanos. The whites had moved out to Huntington Park. And I remember going to Huntington Park one day with my sister and little brother to go to the show. It was all white.
Yeah.
And we saw a sign on the apartment building. And it said, for rent, whites only. I know. And I know, yeah. That's at Huntington Park.
Wow.
And I'm a little kid, right? So I'm thinking, ay, no quieren a los
negros.
How old am I?
Look back.
I know I was in the late 50s. We came to LA when I was.
Means
I'm 77. I'll be 78.
Damn, you look good for a 78-year-old man. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you about that
No
later, but go on.
smoking, do yoga, no manteca, por favor, la
Ni
señora.
mantecosas, no manteca ni mantecosas.
Y no sugar, no azúcar. Anyway, yeah, no, I think just, my dad was a union shop steward in the carpenters union at a factory.
You learned.
I went to go to the union meetings with him. It was fascinating. All these Mexicanos yelling and arguing at the union meeting. I'm just a little kid. That when you're young, you just absorb everything.
That's good.
But back to your question, I think it was right out of when I was in college that I read the book and I realized all the stuff that I've learned in school was all a bunch of whitewash history, not the real history of us in the United States, But the Black Liberation Movement influenced me a lot, watching it on TV, growing up with blacks. I went to Miramonte Elementary School.
Scandal.
I know, but that was back then. And then
you started the
Brown Berets. So
tell us about that.
Yeah, okay, so then, so I mentioned the book, East LA College, and I joined a group in East LA, Lincoln Heights, called the Young Chicanos for Community Action. And we opened up a coffee house in East LA at the corner of Goodrich and Olympic. And, we were way ahead of the hipsters. We had no coffee, just soda, water, whatever. So we started hanging out. And then, working with the cruisers on Whittier Boulevard, which I grew up cruising the Whittier Boulevard Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the gangs, about know your rights. You have rights. The sheriff can't harass you, can't beat you up. And then one day, one of the guys walked in with a whole bunch of berets and we put them on. And it wasn't like a meeting,
The accidente.
Yeah, they actually organically.
Organic.
Yeah. And we became known as the Brown Berets. Right. Yeah. And why brown?
Because we're brown.
Brown and proud.
And your beret is at the Smithsonian Museum.
How'd you know that?
I did my research.
Did your
Come
research?
On. If I'm going to have Carlos Montes, I better do my homework.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful that your work has been so impactful. You've been highly celebrated. All right. Fast forward, your Brown Berets, you start realizing there's all this injustice in the schools. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, the Brown Berets were young, angry men and women. We were angry once we realized, hey, we're living in a racist, oppressive society. We knew our history of lynchings and killings,
Terrible.
The Sutsu Rebellion, the Sleepy Lagoon case.
Right.
And so we said, we're angry. What are we going to do about it? Well, we started to organize. We organized against police killings in East LA. We organized the East LA high school walkouts with students. And
what role did you? I saw a picture of you. You were handsome when you were young.
Roosevelt.
Damn.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, back then, right? I had a beard. Yeah. Thank you. No, we went to Lincoln. Our job the night before, they said, go to Lincoln High School and just run in there and start yelling and walk out.
That's what you did?
That's what I did.
You dressed?
It was me. The door was open. It was me and Richard Vigil.
Yeah.
We passed. Yeah, okay, trespass. Anyway. And so then after Lincoln came out, there's pictures of it taken by the police, by the way. You could Google them, right? We're outside on Broadway. You see Sal Castro, Moctezuma's Park, Becky Hernandez, myself, and yeah. And then we went over to Roosevelt, but by then they knew the walkouts had started, so they had chained up all the gates. So we said, hey, what are we going to do, right? So we went on the backside on Mott, in the driveway. You've been there, right?
I know, I used to work there.
Yeah, and then so the students were trying to push the gate open, but it was locked with a chain, so they threw a rope over that they used for gymnastics, and we're pulling it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, esto no va.
So you climbed?
No, what happened? We kept pulling, and the students kept pushing, and miraculously, un milagro, bam, the chain popped open, and the gate opened, and they all flew out. Wow. And then I turned around, and pam, the photographer was taking pictures of it.
You're vanidoso. You love all that. Te encanta salir así.
No, mira, tell you the truth. You know what? Okay, I would tell you the truth. I like to think that I like to walk in the neighborhood and the señoras me conoce, oye, Carlitos, the young people, and I like to go also where nobody knows me. It's like you just blend in and listen and talk to people, you know.
That's why
I love people.
Huh?
Like I love you too.
I love you
Oh,
too, Carlitos.
we love each other.
That's why I thought it was so important to invite you to share. You know, I know you love sharing your story, and I wanted to share it with the goddesses of our podcast because you are an activist and you're also very fashionable. So I was seeing your jeans and really cool hats. You wear all your Centro CSO, your Chicano Power t-shirts, or you have some guayaberas and you wear your leather branded, empowerment. Like, you're fashionable. People notice and people come up to you. You're approachable. And, when we used to work together as Centro de Ayuda, I used to see a lot of the community members of need come up to you and share concerns. And I was very impressed that you would take the time to listen and consult and take notes and follow through. And one time, what impressed me the most is I was talking to you on the phone about something, and you said, hold on, and I heard you talking to some neighbor. You were in a strange neighborhood that you didn't know, and you were like door knocking, trying to find the family of a youth who had just been murdered by the cops.
Yeah.
And you also paid for the lawyer. And
We got the lawyer.
I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm gonna come help this family, And I said, well, do you know them? He said, no, but I'm gonna ask word of mouth. And you canvassed the whole neighborhood and found the family, offered support, and wow, Carlos, there are very few people that do the kind of work that you're doing. And you're in the trenches. You're in there working with the families, and that's very admirable. And you need to share that to inspire other people. There are a lot of people that are doing this, but you're one of the leaders, and we're all very proud of the work and grateful for the work that you're doing. I always tell people, because of Carlitos, I went to college, affirmative action. I got an opportunity.
We wanted the doors open to college, right? That's what we did the walkouts. We want college.
But as a result of that, weren't you like blacklisted?
I was let's not use the word blacklisted. I was put on the list of rebels, troublemakers. I consider myself, I became a revolutionary because of all those experiences growing up,
Right.
And I was targeted by the local police, the local district attorney, because the walkouts, they arrested 13 of us for conspiracy to disrupt the school system. It's a misdemeanor, but when you conspire, it's a felony. So like 6 different felonies.
Wow.
That was one of the big arrests.
So you went to jail?
East LA 13. I went to jail, but I got bailed out. And we had the famous attorney, Oscar Zeta Acosta, Brown Buffalo, wrote the book, Revolta Casa.
So you met the guy?
Met the guy. He was my lawyer. We used to hang out, Yeah. I met Oscar Zeta Acosta. I met Ruben Salazar. He interviewed me. Anybody could find the interview on the LA Times archives. I'll take them to lunch. And
I'm gonna look it up.
But with East LA 13, though, that was one, so we started facing arrest and repression, the Brown Berets, because we were vocal. We were denounced police killings, denounced the Vietnam War. We organized the community, went to the Poor People's Campaign. So we started getting harassed and arrested, because I was the spokesperson for the Brown Berets. I was the Minister of Information,
Excuse me.
They gave me that job, because for some reason, they thought I could speak good, and I go, what,
You do. You
speak at rallies and stuff, and so I became a target of the police. They would follow me, arrest me. I got arrested so many times, I lost track,
Wow.
But all political reasons, political repression, to the point where they threatened to kill me. I even got arrested in court one day.
Oh my God.
Imagine that, in a court hearing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on, but I joke around that when I do my life scan, the paper runs out of paper. But anyway, so the main thing is that I've been arrested so many times for my activism, for standing up for Chicano power, for empowerment of our community, right? And the Brown Berets were just one of many organizations that surfaced during the decade of the Chicano power movement. We call it the late 60s, early 70s, where many organizations came forward, La Raza Unida, United Farm Workers, the Brown Berets, the Black Panthers, the Black Berets. And we did, and we won a lot of things. You know, you mentioned affirmative action, bilingual education, better schools. You know, we got Wilson. That was one of our demands.
I want to ask you, this is more important because I'm working.
Okay.
Well, that's important, the work that you're doing, but a lot of the people in our community are motivated to get involved, but they're scared because how did this affect your family, your children, your
Well,
wife?
that's what I was going to get to the point that it was so bad that I left the country. I went underground. Did I ever tell you that story? You know, I left. I jumped bail. They call it jump bail.
Because you were living in Mexico. That's why you were.
So I had so many arrests, threats to my life. The last time I was in the county jail, they kicked my ass, the sheriff, right? And Sergeant Lee Ceballos, you know, went up to me with a gun. He said, "You're going to end up dead, Carlos, or spend the rest of your life in jail."
Before we continue our inspiring conversation, we want to acknowledge our sponsor, New Economics for Women. New helps individuals and families improve their income, wealth, assets, social, and educational status across generations. Their focus on education, entrepreneurship, and home ownership prepares communities to thrive. Thank you, New. Now let's get back to our conversation filled with fashionista flair.
So I decided to leave the country, right? I went underground, what they call it. I was trying to get to Cuba, but I ended up in Yucatan, Merida, Yucatan. No, Cancun wasn't even it was a little village.
Hey, Yucatan is beautiful.
No, it is. Nah, it's more like,
It's paradise.
Tulum.
How old were you?
Well, I was 1970, so I was born in 47, so I don't know, 20.
Like 20. And over there with...
I love Merida, Yucatan. I decided to stay in Yucatan. I learned about the Mayan culture. We lived in a Mayan community. I mean, our neighbors spoke Mayan, you know. Wow. Yeah. And I ran out of money, so I started organizing tours to the ruins. Chichen Itza. A Chicano from East LA, Juarez, organizing tours.
You were the ones, hey,
yeah, the tour, because I spoke English. I would hustle the tourist at the airport.
Hell yeah.
The cab driver showed me how to do that. Yeah, I got in with the cab driver, and they kept saying, "It's the Chicano, you know." No, they would call me el Mexicano, because in Yucatan, they're Yucatecos.
And you have your East LA accent, like...
Yeah, they figure where...
I like it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, Yucatan. So you know, so in other words, many people in the 60s, 70s, the anti-war movement, the Black Liberation, the Chicano movement faced repression. Remember, Ruben Salazar was killed August 29, 1970. He was targeted, investigated by the FBI, and they killed him. I believe that he was assassinated that day, August 29, 1970.
I think so. It was an assassination.
Yeah. They knew who he was. He had his credentials. You know, he tried to leave the silver dollar. They said, "Get back in." You know, they had a shotgun point at him. So that's why I left the country. But my daughter was born in El Paso, Texas, under a fake name, and my son was born in Juarez under a fake name.
Wow.
We couldn't use Carlos Montes. My alias. Should I say my alias?
Say it.
Who's gonna see this?
It's me. And the goddesses.
My alias was Manuel Gomez. Yep. Why? Because I looked at the phone book of El Paso. There were like 2 pages of Manuel Gomez. I think I could blend in. And El Paso, I became known as El Manny. We started organizing. You know, we were at the big one big thing that happened at El Paso in 72, 73 was the FARA pants strike. 4,000 Chicanos went out on strike for union recognition in El Paso, Texas. People should write about the FARA strike.
Get to work, Carlos. Get to work.
Yeah.
Well, you have left. You got to write it.
Doing a movie, you know, I can't write a book, but you could write the book about the FARA strike. All mujeres, you know, they work in a garment, you know, they face sexism, oppressive conditions.
Yeah. And
they finally went out on strike. So we were involved. Even though I was underground, I was still organizing. You know, I got a job in the because we became more radicalized in the 70s. Not only that we want Chicano power, equality, right, self-determination, economic, political power, but we started to be open to, because the Vietnamese struggle in Vietnam, we learned about them, Ho Chi Minh, General Giap, to become socialists. So I became a socialist. in 72, 73, right? Yeah.
Radicalized.
And now it's real popular. Back then it was like, you're a
Yeah.
yeah.
You're communist.
So yeah, right. That's true. I'm a CC, Chicano communist, right?
Yeah.
And but I kept organizing. We had this plan. Let's go to the factories, organize. I got a job at Phelps Dodge, the copper refiner in El Paso, Texas, working from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. No breaks, no lunch, because the hot molten copper, 24/7.
No breaks.
Yeah, you can never stop.
What did you get to see because of that? You saw a lot of accidents, a lot of people.
Well, yeah, it was very dangerous. It was dangerous. People would get hurt. The copper would, you have to wear these asbestos suits with cover, but sometimes the copper would splash.
From 11 to 7 in
the morning. Yeah.
What about bathroom breaks?
We did. I don't think we went to the bathroom.
You know what? I could see how you living in all those conditions, the education part, the work, the abuse, would really motivate you to organize to help others because it's helping your community, your family.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What kind of work, what kind of organizing are you doing now?
Now, I'm glad you asked me that. Yeah. So back then we said we got to the working class, organize the working class, right? And I still continue that today because, I after 7 years of living underground, I was rearrested and I went to trial and I was found not guilty after a 2-month trial, right? And so then I decided to stay with my wife here in LA. We raised our kids, we fixed our names and everything. And I joined the community service organization, CSO,
Yes.
which was the only organization left from the 60s and the 70s, And I got involved with CSO, and I'm still working with CSO right now. It's led by a young generation of people, men and women that are in their 20s and 30s. And we have the campaign to support public education against the privatization by charter schools. We just won last week. We won. We defeated a Xterra charter school trying to build a big construction project in East LA.
Why do you think, I'm all for building more schools rather than jails and providing services for youth. But why do you think that having Xterra and other, charter schools in East LA is not favorable for us? Like, I'm curious about your opinion.
Well, first of all, it's a Republican neoliberal attack against public sector unions, public services. They want to privatize everything. The Republicans do. And one of the big things is public education, right? And public education is an open democratic right of all the community, right? You have teachers that are trained and you get your degrees and your credentials, right?
Union.
Charters in the union and the charter schools don't have that. We found out that many charter schools hire not credentialed teachers and they just recruit students from the local schools, which creates a funding crisis in the local school, right? And
I've gotten to experience that, but I've also gotten to work with a lot of families who have had a lot of success in charter. So, I do believe that there should be a choice for the families, and I think that this allows for our local leaders and district to revisit what is going on in our public schools currently. And shift and change and invest more energy. I say that because I'm in the schools.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
You're at Garfield, now you're at Torres.
Now I'm at Torres.
You were at Roosevelt for many
I
years?
was at Roosevelt.
You got to know everybody there.
I really love the comprehensive school because there are a variety of programs for the kids.
Right.
Whereas different smaller schools, the programs are more limited. And it's good for kids to be able to explore a variety of technical art, creative arts, music programs, sports, and it's actually one of the inspirations for the Goddess of Mercado, because you and I had a conversation when you were in school. There used to be shop, glass work, electricity, welding,
mechanic,
printing, mechanic,
print shop.
A lot of those classes no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
And kids that were going to school in my era, they actually formed jobs. They're carpenters, electricians that are getting paid really good money.
Yeah,
because they started their own businesses, their own brand.
Right.
And now the big push is A through G, going to college,
Right.
which I'm also in favor for. I think there should be enough, and there should be a comprehensive program
Right.
for all at our public schools. And I know you're still helping with that.
No, absolutely. And do the charter schools do that whole comprehensive? I don't think so. Now, the other thing I want to mention about charter schools is that these folks get together, they form a corporation, and these are who are these folks? They're not even educated. Sometimes they're business people, they're developers, right? But they form a corporation, they form their nonprofit, and they call it a charter school for innovation. Then they get a contract with the LUSD, and they buy property and they build the building. It's almost like a real estate
business.
It's a business, really, yeah. And these folks are not from our community. They don't have education degrees, but then they
You've done your research.
Yeah, I've done my research, Beret Esperanza, and even what's the name, Xterra Charter School. We went to their board meeting. You look at their board, none of them come or live in our community. They're mostly white. They have one token Black person, like operations.
And this is something you've experienced.
Yes, I've gone to their board meetings. I look at their board, because the Brown Act, they have to have public meetings, right? So, and then they hire non-credential teachers, non-union teachers. I've talked to teachers from Xterra that have gotten fired because they've spoken up, So, but the main thing is that LAUSD public schools does provide choices, In East LA, we have Eastman Avenue School. We have Stevenson Middle School. We have 2nd Street. We have Bree Street, Soto Street, Malabar. Right? Yeah.
What I really like about
it's actually capitalism. That's what it is. Yeah.
What I really like about our schools is that there's a lot of school pride, community pride.
Yes.
And that's so important. To have strong sense of where you come from, strong sense of identity, and you bring a lot of that, Carlitos, and I want to ask you, I know we could talk all day. You have a lot to say. You're an antique. You're a relic, no, pero you have a lot.
Hey, I got a website.
Yeah.
CarlosMontes.org.
So tell us, where can we find you?
CarlosMontes.org, right? And also, of course, Instagram and Facebook, Carlos M. Montes. But go to my website and you can leave me a message. CarlosMontes.org. I have a 2-hour interview that the Library of Congress did,
I actually, I watched some of that little bit.
Yeah, I have a couple other interviews in there, so I hope, I'll pay that.
And
website forever.
You're still working on your website. You're still developing it.
Yeah.
So anyone that wants to learn more about Carlos and the work that he's done, his experiences, and what's led up to the work that he's doing, I can find him there. Also, if you'll see Carlitos out in the street with a bunch of young organizers. I see Sol Marquez and her family. She has 2 kids now, right?
Yeah.
And they're canvassing, walking the community with their
door. Yeah.
You are a true inspiration, and you are such a gem, and you're so valuable in our community.
Diana.
Even the children that you raised are following in your footsteps. And
my daughter's a Chicano.
She's doing even more amazing work. We're so proud of the work that you're doing.
My daughter Felicia.
From Mujeres de Maíz.
Yeah, she founded Mujeres de Maíz with a group of 22 years ago. And right now she's in Mexico City doing a Chicanex.
Yeah.
Encuentro or something.
And she's been very supportive of us. The God is my...
Actually, that's good. That's good. My son's a firefighter,
Yeah, he's a chief, right?
And no, he's not a chief. That's not exaggerating.
All right.
But, I know we're kind of wrapping it up, but the other big area that you brought up is that Centro CSO does work with families who have suffered the death of their loved ones by the East LA Sheriffs or the LAPD. We support the families, help them organize a campaign to demand jail killer cop. The other big thing we do a Know Your Rights workshop next weekend for immigrant who supposedly are, just here,
It's
and we're facing a big challenge now with the new president who's threatening to deport millions of people, he's threatening to do away with the Department of Education, so we were asking people, have a house meeting, talk to your neighbors, organize your neighborhood, your school, your workplace. Let's get together.
Talk to Carlos.
Yes.
Be visible. Get organized.
That's right.
Do your homework. Learn. And I'm very proud of the work that you're doing and how you gain some information to educate us. And even though you're an old guy, you're my friend, so I can say that, right?
Well, an old guy.
Things that we cover in Fashionista Activista, because, it's a bunch of us that are building our brands and our business.
Yeah.
Where do you, a 78-year-old man, find the energy and the help to continue doing this work?
People.
What do you do, person?
Well, first of all, people inspire me. When I talk to someone and they want to get involved, you're like, you inspire me, right? But health-wise, don't smoke, don't drink a lot of alcohol.
No alcohol.
No manteca.
No manteca ni mantecosas.
Yeah. And keep moving, exercise. I personally do yoga because
how often do you do
I
yoga?
do it every day in the morning for half an hour.
Every day?
Every day. Oh, yeah, every day. Come on, if it wasn't for yoga, some of the old macho guys laugh at me, yoga. Hey,
they laugh at you?
Come on, you just keep your body moving, talk to people, read.
Be social, be healthy. You're not on medication?
Are you kidding? My thyroid gland, they give me thyroid medication, levotiroxine or something.
I thought you were suspicious. I must be taking something.
No. But what I do, in the morning, have a healthy breakfast. No manteca, no puerco, no red meat,
That's what it takes.
I was inspired by my daughter. My daughter's a vegetarian. So I try to, get rid of them.
You're inspired by her and we're inspired by you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing, Carlos.
Yeah.
We're so proud of you. We're going to try to follow in your footsteps, take care of us so we could help take care of our community.
And I love you, Diana, and Goddess Mercado, and your beautiful store right here in El Sereno. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I love you.
Con todo mi corazón, we want to thank New Economics for Women, SoCal Gas, and Kaiser Permanente, and to you, our beautiful listeners, for being the heartbeat of Fashionista Activista. Vamos adelante with more stories, more laughter, and moments of inspiration that knit our communities ever so close. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on social media. Hasta la próxima, goddesses.